Please don't hear any of this, Brad.
And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake?
Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I could have chopped it. I could have chopped it.
Trumpinator 2020.
Making me 30 sides of red sauce.
Listened to so much. Are you
That needs two, motherfucker.
There you go.
All right. Episode 90.
Can't breathe.
God dang, that's a lot of them. What is going on, lady?
Not a whole lot.
Last time you were here, you were kind of overwhelmed. We had a whole crew in here, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I was more comfortable though.
Were you?
Yeah,
You more nervous now?
a little.
Why?
I'm a little. I don't know. I just am.
You've done this before, is all that now?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you some fucked up story today. It used to happen a lot when I first got on Facebook, but I'll get these like super hot bitches will start DMing me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're obviously fake accounts. Like there's no information about them. They can't
do that
answer,
to my husband too.
But they can't answer any questions. Like, I love all your posts. Like, okay, name one thing that you've seen. What is the scam there?
I'm not sure. I actually had that happen to me the other day. Some guy, I had tagged my husband in something, and he just thought it was so funny and made this long comment about he enjoyed my post, but had tried to send me a friend request, but it wouldn't go through or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got on it, and it was like this military guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just weird. I'm not sure. I think they try to get you to send them money, probably.
Eventually, but I've never had them actually ask for anything.
Really?
It's always just like trying to. This lady said her husband was beating her every night, and she was trying to get money to get down to Northwest Arkansas. She never asked for any money, or wherever I was. And it's like, and then the grammar is always always way off. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's somebody in another country, but I don't know. They're willing to play a long game.
Well, see, they had done that to my mom too, but they had sent her money, and it was like a check, but it was like a bounce check that ended up happening, and my mom had cashed it. Well, she spent the money, and then turns out it was a false check, and so she ended up having to pay the bank back that money.
How does that benefit somebody else?
I know. I don't understand that. I'm not sure.
Internet's a weird place.
I know. I know.
These adults complaining about kids being on tablets and these kids, they just get unlimited time on electronics. And then these same adults will spend 3 or 4 hours a day posting stupid shit on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, take a look at what you're doing sometimes before you...
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. Grown-ass people out there just posting negative shit all day long. It's just...
Yeah, I had that happen a while back. There was some lady, I had videoed a tornado that was coming down right by my husband's work, or up past my husband's work. It was towards like Rogers.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I didn't know that I don't know the name of the city right there between Springdale and...
Bethel Heights?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. There was a tornado that went through there. And I was just posting about it, and I was like, I don't know if this is the one from Bethel Heights. Well, she got, I don't know what game you're trying to play, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you even coming at me sideways for, lady? Like, why are you mad at me? You know?
People are terrible, man.
I was like, I'm just trying to, like, let people know what's going on, you know? I'm not trying to do nothing. I don't know. People are crazy. They don't have nothing better
Well, they have
to do.
a voice now. Everybody thinks they should be heard because they have this thing in their hand. They're judgmental about kids using it, but they use it as inappropriately or worse than kids do, setting a terrible example for any kids who are watching their own parents doing it.
Yeah.
It just makes me want to quit the whole thing, just pack it up and say, fuck everybody. It really does. Like, I the only reason I get on there is for a purpose. Like, I'm going to post something or I'm going to DM somebody. Like, there's a purpose. I don't just go on there and fucking scroll. Like, that's not purposeful.
I do sometimes. It's mostly through the reels, the Facebook reels.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah.
It's fine. But, like...
I like to watch the comedy on there.
There's some great comedy on there. It's like anything. It's a tool. You know, it can be a beautiful thing, but people just use it for such negativity.
Yeah.
Half the time they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I just never understood, like, just putting nastiness out into the world.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing. My sister said this on Nicole's podcast the other day. You know, she's autistic, and Nicole was asking her, you know, if you could say something to the world, you know, what would you say? And it was very sweet and simplistic, but it was like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right.
What happened to that? Where did we get so far, like, to where we could just be hateful to our brothers and sisters without even knowing anything about them?
Exactly. I'm not sure. I think I had someone that was autistic come in the other day, and he told me, he's like, I want to give you a piece of advice. And I was like, okay, go ahead. And he told me, it doesn't cost a thing to be nice to somebody. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And he was like, whatever happened to that? And I said, I don't know. I treat everybody, even if I don't like somebody, I still treat them as a person, because that's just how you should be.
Most
you don't
adults have to work
be all
with
nasty
people in a workplace that they don't necessarily
you can
like.
still treat them with respect to an extent, still treat them like a person. You don't have to be their friend to be fake.
Yeah.
But you can still be polite, and still treat them like people.
I just don't know how you get out of this.
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean? Like, some people get addicted to it. The fight.
Yeah.
They want to get out there.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you're
not
not
sure.
solving anything.
I don't know.
What are your kids' situations? How old are they?
I've got twins that are 10, about to be 11, and then my oldest is about to turn 15 on the 30th.
Okay.
And then my stepsons are 9, 10, and 12.
So there's 5,
6.
6. Okay, yeah. Jesus, that's busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you?
It's a
I did
mess
meet
all
your
the
husband
time.
the other day.
Yeah.
Super nice dude.
Mhm.
Really enjoyed meeting him. Seemed like a cool guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long y'all been together?
Almost 5 years now.
So how do you cope through that with that many kids? I mean, that's constant chaos. I mean, you can't even hardly play zone coverage at that point.
I don't know. You just kind of grow accustomed to it, I guess.
Yeah.
And at
Accustomed
that
to the
point,
chaos.
Yeah, and at that point, whenever there's 6 kids, what's 2 more?
Yeah.
Or 3 more. Because
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, there's really
Yeah.
there's so many kids, it doesn't even matter. It's just
You just gotta trust that they're.
it's not bad. I mean, they
Yeah.
argue and fight, but it's not bad. It's just a lot of noise.
And they go to Prairie Grover.
No,
Or farm?
so the
Where they
boys
go?
go to Huntsville,
Okay.
and the girls go to Fayetteville.
Okay. Gotcha. Huntsville's a stretch. It's out there. How do they get out there? They get
Well,
driven out there,
they
or
come to us on the weekends,
Okay.
and then
I
because
see.
they live with their mom
They
out
live with
there.
their. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huntsville is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
fucking
not.
Florida.
I'm not real big on the school, but
No,
yeah. But I mean, there's not much we can do about that.
I'm not
so.
real big on any school particularly.
Me either. Especially, I don't really much care for the Fayetteville High School.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like Owl Creek and Holt and stuff like that, but once it gets to the high school, there's just so many kids that they can't really keep up with them, and there's so many fights every day. Like
Yeah.
my daughter showed me videos of the fights in the bathroom, and those poor cops, I mean, how do you handle that many kids in a bathroom without,
Jesus.
luckily there's video recordings, because they're you never know what somebody could accuse, or
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not really.
It's such a different world than when we grew up.
I know.
What year were you born?
I was born in 95.
95. You're a young chicken. So, geez, 95.
Yeah, I'll be 30 in April.
But even you probably, it was a totally different world.
Yeah, and I went to
when you
school in
grew
Prairie
up.
Grove. It was small. I mean, I knew everybody I graduated with. I mean,
Was Joe Giles out there?
he retired. He was my principal whenever I was in kindergarten
Okay.
and through 1st and 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was out here last night.
I think that was really.
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. Yeah, he was a teacher or something with my mom, and then
Yeah.
Laney Rice was the soccer coach and stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen Mr. Giles. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
in a long time. Yeah.
Well, I didn't go to Prairie Grove, but all my family did. So, he knows my dad and my uncles, but I knew him through the music scene,
Right,
My band was playing.
Yeah, their band would play during our lunch and stuff sometimes. I guess
Yeah.
practicing or whatever. It was kind of cool to
That
experience
is cool. He was a rock star principal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the last time I had seen him was at our drummer Gary's wedding, which I think they got married the year me and Julia did, which would have been '08. I'm pretty sure we got married in. I better not forget this on the podcast. I'm pretty sure it was. Oh shit! I think our anniversary was in 4 days. I think it was March 29th, and they got married a couple months after us. And Joe's band played, and they were gracious enough to let us get up there and play a set while they took a break, which is really cool. But I don't know if I'd ever seen him without a hat or a do-rag on. He just came in straight up bald.
Yeah.
But God, he is so charming.
Yeah,
He's
he's
just
awesome.
an entertainer.
Yeah.
Like at one point, he just took over the show. He just spun it around on me, started interviewing. I was like, "What are you doing, taking over my show,
Yeah.
man?" He's just a wild man, and he's such a legend around here. It was just, I don't know, it was the first time I'd really like fanboyed out
Yeah.
with somebody because he goes
Yeah, he's a
back
good man,
so
yeah.
far. Yeah, he's great, great entertainer, lots of success, and it's not just about that. It's about the people. Like you talk to people who know him.
Mm-hmm.
They love. Like I've never met somebody that had a crossword to say about Joe Giles.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he was awesome. Whenever I was in school, I mean, everybody loved him then. I haven't seen him in years, but yeah, he's a good guy. I like him a lot.
Well, he's healthy. He looks great. He looks fit. I mean, for being almost 70, or maybe he is 70.
Oh wow.
And he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And sharp, just sharp as a tack. Guy's funny.
Does he still play?
He's kind of, I think they've got some shows coming up with the Hardtops, some reunion stuff, but I mean, for the most part, he's kind of cut a lot of that back. But
Yeah, I remember a couple times they had Trout Fishing in America come to the
yeah,
cafeteria and play and stuff. It was cool.
yeah, that man's got, I mean, just his stories of Fayetteville and the music scene and how it's changed. I mean, I was playing in the 90s, you know, and he was playing back in the 60s, 70s.
It's got to be
It's like,
completely different.
oh, yeah. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. You just don't have, and we were talking about this, like, you just don't have the same kind of music scene anymore. You know,
Yeah, I
Fayetteville
know.
went through several different scenes. It's all commercialized now.
Mhm.
It's what happens when a small town turns into a wannabe big town, which we're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other night, me and my husband. It's a lot different than it used to be, even for us, you know, and all the like gang activity and all that. It's just
Do you see that? Do you see gang activity?
well, I've been on the other side of like you know, whenever I was in active addiction, I seen a lot of the bad side of Fayetteville, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so to speak. So, I mean, I see both sides now
Yeah.
more than anything, you know.
Yeah.
I see the keep Fayetteville funky, and I try to embrace, you know, that they like to change. They, you know, try to accept everybody. And then there's the darker side of it that nobody really talks about, you know, that,
Well, what is that side?
you know, just a lot of the homeless and,
Yeah.
and their issues and the drugs
Yeah.
and you know, there's human trafficking. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on, you know, just behind the scenes that nobody really thinks to see, or you know, and it's not something you want to see, but you know, if you're in the drug world, then you know, it's kind of inevitable, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not a bad place, I guess. I just don't much care for Southside Fayetteville.
Well, no, there's some scary spots down there, but I mean, the area just in general. I mean, it was a rural area.
Yeah.
It was very much, you knew your neighbors, you knew everybody
Yeah.
you went to school with, and I mean, just the population of Farmington in the last 20 years has increased by over 300%. So, talking 20 something hundred to over 10,000 now
Yeah.
in Farmington alone, which is, it's insane. And it just I mean, I can't imagine my grandparents growing up. And I used to hear my grandparents always say, "I'm glad I'm on my way out. I'm glad I'm not bringing in kids into this world anymore."
Yeah.
It was a different world they grew up in. You know, my grandfather rode a horse to school, and they had to get
Yeah.
up before the sun rose to take care of the farm
Yeah.
chores before they went to school.
My mom did that. I mean,
Yeah, they had a hard life.
yeah. And
They
everything's
appreciated
just kinda
everything
handed
they
to everybody
had.
these days, so it's a
Oh,
lot
it's yeah,
different.
it is. No, everybody just expects things. There's no consequences. There's no work ethic. It really does make you feel lost, and it makes you wonder sometimes. You know, I've had people tell me I'm abusing my kids for disciplining them, and it's like,
Oh no.
fuck right off with that
Yeah,
shit.
we've got to raise kids that are going
You
to be.
don't discipline your kids at all, and they're monsters and are now abusing you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the other alternative. So
Yeah.
no, if I want to keep my kids in line,
Yeah.
I've never struck one of my kids. I don't have to.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a line though that you do not cross, and
Right.
boys, especially Durham boys, want to know where that fence line is.
Right.
I was no different.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to raise my kids right. A lot of people tell me, you know, well, you have really respectful kids, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, when they're not at home, when they're around other people, but that's what I want. I mean, if they're comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
But I try to raise respectful kids, you know, and let them know what's right from wrong, and not to be bullies. I don't like that. You know, you never know what somebody else is going through unless you're in their shoes, and so.
Well, I feel like bullying. So I was also bullied as a kid,
Right.
relentlessly, because I was a nerd in a redneck town in the '80s. People didn't understand that.
Right.
And then my sister had autism, so she was mercilessly bullied. And so I really do have a loathing for the type of person that bullies someone else. You also have to understand where these people are coming from.
Right.
They're usually projecting something
Yep.
that happens in the home,
Right. Yep.
right? And a lot of them, that's how
They get their control.
or the way they perceive love. It's like a twisted,
Yeah.
like the only attention they get is negative.
Right.
And so sometimes they might like somebody. I've known people before in the past that bully people that they like.
That's a big thing with boys and girls. Like I tell my girls, I'm like, just because a boy bullies you, you know, that doesn't mean you have to accept that. Like I was like, don't accept that kind of attention for love, you know, or whatever. Because well, if they bully you, it's because they like you. I don't
No, I
accept
think
that
that's
anymore.
bullshit. Now teasing is different,
Right, but
and I think we've conflated. Our society has become so pussified
yeah,
that any kind of jokes or anything
Everybody's
gets
so
perceived
sensitive.
as bullying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous, and we've got a whole fucking country full of snowflakes. I'm saying, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm over it.
yeah.
The whiners and the people, it's like, my
Like if
God.
you don't like it, just don't listen or don't watch or don't, you know, you got plenty of other things to do. You can figure it out.
But again, with social media, everybody has a voice.
Yeah.
You know, I try and limit it to there's really only two paths to immortality, unless you're a billionaire and you like transfer your consciousness into a computer or something, like I think Elon's probably done. But you got your kids who are going to carry your teachings and lessons into the
Right.
future, and you have anything that you create, anything that you know that starts with you. And the internet is just a constant recycling of rehashed bullshit and ideas. And I don't know. I wish the goddamn electricity would go out for like 6 months. I think this
people
country
would
needs
break
it.
down.
You know, people would die,
Yeah.
and a lot of them. I mean, I'm not calling for violence. I'm just saying, maybe God was wrong to not flood the earth again. I'll put it that way. Maybe we're due for a flood. It's just the
Well,
nastiness.
I think we're going to do it to ourselves. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. For people who do try and just put positivity out there and try to be positive, it is so hard when people are just shitting on everything.
Yeah.
And it's
Very
like,
much so.
I get it. You don't like this thing, but 9 posts in an hour about Pete Hegseth's fucking emails or texts on Signal. Get a life. Yeah, it was a fucking stupid mistake, but it's like, I got somebody on the Trump administration. We gotta fucking win. It's like, well, how does that affect your life?
Yeah.
You know what I get? I don't know. It's just we're putting all our attention in all the wrong places.
I
It's
agree.
like the older I get, the more I know how much time I have left. It's probably not long. You know, maybe hopefully halfway there. Hopefully I've got at least halfway left. But regardless, I mean, time goes by fast.
Yeah.
And you spend so much time of it with bullshit and chasing money and greed. And I feel like if you could eliminate greed from the planet, you'd really solve
we
a
do
lot of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, I'm a very giving person. Sometimes I can be overly giving, you know, and that puts me in a bind sometimes.
To where you get
but-
taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to help people, you know, because I know how it is. You know, I've been homeless before. You know, in my addiction and stuff. And I mean, I've met all kinds of people. I've met really rich people who are good people, or people who
Sure.
are rich and snot, you know,
Yeah.
snooty, and you know. And then I've met people who are homeless who, you know, might look like a terrible person and this and that, and it's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. You know. And
Yeah, you can't
so-
judge by appearances at all.
Yeah.
Same way. I've met a lot of nasty rich people, and I've met some really great ones. I've met some really nasty poor people, and
Yeah.
I mean, people are people. It just depends on what goes into it. What do you want to talk about the addiction a little bit, or like
I mean,
how'd you get into addiction? How old were you?
Well, so I was, I don't know, I smoked weed for the first time in like 7th grade, I think it was, but I was pregnant at 14 with my oldest, and I had her, and I had issues after my pregnancy. I had to have a emergency C-section and stuff, and I was given pain pills, and after that, it just kind of spiraled into more. I mean, I was drinking, at a young age and everything, and then after I had my twins, right before I had my twins, I'd gotten pretty much clean. Smoked pot,
Yeah.
but when I got pain pills on the way home from the hospital, after that, it was over with. I was doing CNA work at that time, and I ended up losing my job over pain pills, because I was doing home health and taking pain pills for my residents, and which wasn't okay, but
No.
And then after that, I'd overdosed
On what?
on Xanax and methadone and alcohol.
What did that do to like stop your lungs from moving, or was it more of a?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
I went home and went to bed, so I
Yeah.
mean, but it was, the girl's dad that was trying to get me up. But after that, that's when I got on meth, and that is such a crazy drug. I mean,
I've never done meth, and I've
It's-
never wanted to. What is the appeal to it? Like,
Well, I think I kind of had a rough childhood growing
Sure.
up, and a lot of trauma. And so, when I started with the pain pills or, well, this makes me feel good. Well, what's this going to
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
And so I think
pain
that
pills
was,
make you feel a little elated, a little.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah.
And so when you're, deep into an addiction of anything, I think, you're more open to trying different things, and so it
Like a
was,
gateway.
yeah, yeah.
That was the old conservative talking point against marijuana. If kids do marijuana, they're going to be sucking dick for crack in the street the next day.
Right.
It's like, not all of them.
And not, I don't necessarily, I think that's true to an extent. Like, it's more of the situation and how they're growing up, because I think traumatized, children who
Some
grow up in
people
bad
looking for an
environments.
escape.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, that's
100%.
exactly. Yeah.
That's why most people get into drugs or
Yeah,
alcohol. They're
and
trying
so-
to either escape from or numb the pain from
Exactly.
a childhood.
Because you
Yeah.
don't know how to process it.
Exactly.
And so,
And most, like you said, that happens in childhood.
yeah,
You're not
'cause
equipped
your brain's
to deal
not
with those
developed
things.
and everything. So when you start doing this, you're like, well,
Yeah.
okay, well, what's this going to
That's
do?
what happened to me. I also found alcohol at a young age, and
Yep.
I'm like, hey, this helps everything.
Yeah, that's been my crutch for a long time was alcohol for
Yeah.
sure, but
But you also have to function in society,
right,
And
Yeah.
like my wife told me when we were engaged, it's like, it's whiskey or me,
right,
So it's like, because whiskey, I just couldn't. If I'm going to drink a beer, I'm going to drink whiskey, I'm going to drink them at the same speed.
right,
Like, I just
Yep.
don't have a mechanism to stop that.
yeah,
And so, obviously, whiskey's a lot stronger, and you,
Yeah.
the blackouts and the losing, just not remembering shit.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was not a good place to be. But at the same time, I
right,
still got it. I'm just trying to be more responsible.
right, yeah,
It's almost like an old friend,
kind of, yeah, I can
which
see
is kind
that.
of a sick way to look at it. But at the same time,
Yeah, when I got clean off of meth, I used the alcohol as a crutch,
right?
I still drink liquor, but I don't get wasted drunk like I used to, because I would do the blackout thing and
Yeah.
act crazy, and now it's just kind of more like just to have a little bit of a buzz, like
Yeah.
a steady buzz. But I mean, meth is definitely it takes you down a road that I didn't even realize I was going down until I woke up one day and I was homeless, living in a tent type thing, and the person I was with at the time was covered up with a tarp because it was raining, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? And I ended up going to prison over it. And when I went to prison, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Prison's not for me.
Yeah. Well, if
It's a
if
fucking
it's for
terrible
you,
place.
then
Well, some people, I know some people who just thrive there.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my brother, he just got locked back up. I mean, he just did 7 years almost, in one stretch. And then he'd been out for almost 2. And now he's probably about to go back for, there's no telling how long because he had a long time hanging over his head. So,
Yeah.
it's just some people thrive there because that's where
Why
they.
is that?
I-
The
The
structure?
structure.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I could see that. If life's just complete chaos and here's this ordered...
Yeah, I mean, you get up, you do the same thing,
routine.
Yeah, so some people...
And a purpose, because you have jobs in prison.
Yeah, and so, but, God, I don't want to be stuck around a bunch of females like that. There's more dude-like females in there.
Well, they're letting trans people in there now, so it's
even
just a big old
then,
fucking gangbang in there now.
Yeah, it's not somewhere I want to go back to, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of set it to where I was like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. After I got out, I had a slip up or two, but it's kind of changed my whole outlook on everything, because that's not the place I want to live my life. That's not where I want my kids to. I don't want to be like that 50-year-old lady in prison and my daughter come in and us be in prison together or something, like
no,
that's
nobody
not,
wants that.
Yeah, that's not where I want to be in my life. So, I'm open with the girls or all the kids really about addiction and what goes through our family, because everything was so hush-hush whenever I was young, that I
like
no
that you're doing that. I agree. It was either not talked about or it was glorified.
Right. And I don't, why? Because then I felt like I was alone, and so I'm trying to be honest with my girls and be like, this is why you don't, I mean, you're going to make your own choices.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just keep in mind, this is the road I went down, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just try to keep that open in the family. That way we can talk about things without it being such a hush-hush or a big thing.
Well, I think that's good. I think open communication and transparency. Yeah. My parents were also very closed about their past, their lives.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of open discussion about things. We were just told, this is bad.
Right, and it can be very confusing.
Well, why is
like,
it bad?
Why? Yeah. So let me try it myself and figure it
right.
out.
Yeah, if you're not going to tell me, I'll do I think you're right. It was a terrible strategy. But, then again, like our grandparents, there wasn't the same opportunity for those kinds of things. Mental health wasn't as openly talked about. I don't even know if it existed as much. I feel like mental health is almost a creation of society in a lot of ways. Like back then,
sometimes I feel like it's a little much, but then again, I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge it. I just don't.
No, 100%. I agree.
I just don't think overusing that is the way to go either.
Well, now people, Jason Green, my buddy, sent me an article about basically how people are using their diagnoses as an identity now, right? And it's like if I'm bipolar, like that's who I am as a person. I'm bipolar, and I can't do this or this because of my diagnosis. It's like, man, I don't know. Identity is one of those things that, to me, like when you think about your identity, you personally, like what are the first three things that come to mind?
Oh, gosh.
As an individual.
A mom, a wife, and then just a country girl, I guess, or I'm not really sure. I don't know. Because there's a lot of things I love, which is all kind of mixed up. I'm not city or country. I'm just kind of...
But you didn't mention your color? You didn't mention your gender?
Yeah, I guess not, yeah.
Right?
Right.
Who the fuck wakes up and thinks, I'm a male.
Yeah.
I'm attracted to women today. Like,
right.
Nobody fucking thinks about that stuff.
Yeah.
So stop pushing those identities down our fucking throats.
Yeah, I think that too. If you're going to be who you are, just do it. Nobody...
Right.
We don't got to do all that extra shit.
The word is tolerance. It's not acceptance.
Right.
I don't have to fucking accept anything that anybody
but I
does.
can deal with it just because...
I have to tolerate it.
It's not my fucking... How is it affecting me personally in my life to the point where I have to be so mad that I have to lash on these people or whatever?
Right.
So, like... Just do your thing. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we ain't got to do all this extra shit that influences
other people how to live their fucking lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's where the trans thing got sideways, was when you start demanding, I use certain pronouns and I start calling you something that
right. And
you're not.
it can be very confusing when you're trying to be a polite person. Like the yes ma'am, no sir, all that. That's how I grew up, was yes ma'am, no ma'am, all that.
Right.
And so now I get scared to do that because I'm not sure, you know what I mean? And so, and it's not that I'm not trying to be, I am trying to be polite.
Right.
It's just I'm not sure how to address certain situations,
right.
But
the problem is that it becomes their whole identity.
Right.
And any attack on that sense of identity sends them into a rage, where it's like, there's no attack you could make on me for being a straight white male and yeah, I get, you're going to say, oh yeah, because you've had all these opportunities and you're so privileged and all this shit. It's like, I mean,
and I understand to an extent, like, a lot of this stuff was repressed and all that, and they were, scrutinized and whatnot. And so I get the wanting to be out and about it and be, this or that. But, like, at the same time, it affects the kids, too. Like, that's what I worry about, is children shouldn't be worried about their sexual identity at a young age. They
don't have one.
They don't. They shouldn't.
They don't
have
even
to,
think about it.
Yeah,
Girls are gross.
And so now it's become such a thing in the schools, and
Yes.
and I don't believe the sex change until you're an adult. I don't. That's not fair. That's not fair to kids. It's not.
It's criminal, is what it is.
I believe that too.
I think
'cause you don't know what you want as a kid. I mean, good grief! I was trying to be a mom at 14, and that was more than a struggle.
But it's a life-altering thing.
And so
you shouldn't be able to make decisions about anything until you're 25. I mean,
yeah, really,
you're legal to, but you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be. But yeah, these are life-changing. And again, if you want to dress up, play, live in the identity you're in, there is a thing called gender dysphoria. I believe in it. It happens.
Right.
I think a lot of these kids, though, are getting caught up, and my cousin Jackie really made me see through this, because she said, when I was a kid, I was just so hell-bent on fuck authority, I would have been trans. Just to piss off the man. And I think it has become this kind of anti-establishment cult,
Right.
where a lot of these people aren't actually trans or bi. There's a lot of straight men that are these complete bitches nowadays.
Yeah.
There's I saw a thing recently that was talking about how basically, if you're not capable of great violence, you're not capable of love. And if you're not capable of great violence, then you as a human being are harmless.
I think I've seen something similar to that here a while back.
And I believe that is what has happened to America. And I think it was by design, because our men are harmless now. Our men are carrying fucking little dogs behind their wives in the fucking mall now. Like, this is not a world I grew up in. The man was the man, the woman was the woman, she was feminine, he was masculine. And again, do whatever you want, but this attack on masculinity and toxic masculinity, I get there's some dudes who are pieces of shit. That does not mean we need to eliminate masculinity from teaching our children.
I believe that too. I try to see both sides. I mean, I think a lot of the feminists and all that, and don't get me wrong, I believe a woman could do a lot, don't get me wrong, but we do need men. We need men,
men need women.
Yeah. I mean,
it should be a partnership. It's a beautiful.
I believe in equality, but I also believe that men do certain things better than women, and women do certain things better than men. It's
Absolutely.
just how it is, I mean, you have that motherly instinct, it's just, there's different things. I mean, I'm not trying to climb on top of a skyscraper and build it.
Yeah.
I don't know many women that would,
Yeah.
I mean, we need men for certain things, and we do need women. I mean, I think there's the equality behind it too, but I also think that we do have certain roles
there's a difference in the definition of equality and equity, which they changed it on us. Equality is equality of opportunity.
Right.
We all have the same opportunity to go out for the same jobs,
Right.
and if we're qualified,
right.
we get those jobs.
Right.
You should interview black people and white people
Yeah.
and Asian,
Yeah.
whoever. Everybody should have the same opportunity, but it should come down to your qualifications.
Right.
Not the color of your skin or the gender,
Right.
but what they want now is equity, which is the exact same outcome. We want 5 blacks, 5 whites, 5 gays, 5, right? And they have to have
Yeah, that seems-
equity of outcome, which is not merit-based. It is just based on immutable characteristics like race and gender.
Yeah, that's not
totally
what we're
fucking
supposed to.
bullshit.
Yeah, that's not. I don't. Think
Everybody was for equality, but it's also, if you're an activist and you achieve your goal, what happens when you achieve your goal? You're out of a job,
that's,
right? So you either have to keep getting funding and pushing it. It's like when gay marriage came around, the Republicans would say, "Oh, it's a slippery slope. They're going to be marrying goats next," and
Yeah, see, that just seems silly.
And it did at the time, but now it's almost even worse. Like, it's just gotten so crazy.
And maybe this is what it takes to have the certain kind of change that everybody needs or whatever. But it just seems a little extreme.
It is extreme. I mean, I was thinking election season's over. We're going to be done with all this fucking bickering and stuff. But now it's you know, you got the extreme that the people who are just on fucking watch alert for any mistake that is made by the Trump administration. And we should be holding our people accountable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dude's moving 90 miles an hour, doing more shit than anybody other president has done that I've seen in my lifetime, other than just taking fucking money and getting rich.
Yeah.
You know, dude's already rich.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. I guess my problem with it is that it's like if Trump saved a baby from being raped, they would turn it into a bad story.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about perspective. It's how you take the pictures or who was there at that time or, you know, what they can twist and use against. Yeah, I agree.
And people just don't think critically. We don't even teach our kids to think critically anymore about a situation.
Right.
You know, I always try to give my kids always give me both sides of the argument.
Right.
Right? Like, I think that's just really pivotal in parenting. Like, look at it from both sides. And sometimes you'll try and, you know, like drama, or not drama, like debate, right? If you're in debate class, sometimes you would get the side of the argument that you didn't believe in.
Right.
So you have to defend that argument.
Right.
Or lawyers have to do this all the time. They have to be able to see either side of the argument. We can't do that anymore. All we can see is what we believe, and our beliefs, they're ideologies, and we've become so idealistic that if anything challenges those things, we've made those part of our identity now. And I get that Christianity is part of certain people's identity. I get that. I don't particularly understand why. I think in a relationship with a higher power is healthy and all that. But like, if you just identify really as religion, a Christian, like, well, then who are you? Are you just?
Yeah, I'm not really big on religion necessarily. You know, I have my own thoughts and beliefs, you know, or whatever. I think that was kind of meant to be a separatist thing, or like separating, you know, people and whatnot. I think.
Well, it's used to control people. Even in video games now, in these sim games, one of the first things you do when you start an empire is found a religion, so you can control the masses with it.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, I'm not real big on the religion thing. I think everybody should be just however they want to be, you know, and it shouldn't affect everybody else.
You believe Jesus was a real person, though?
I think so. I think he was. You know, I think a lot of the Bible and whatnot is more wordplay, and you have to also think of how people thought and talked back in that time, you know, and things like that. And a lot of it is wordplay and maybe references or whatever. But because I had a hard time believing all that, you know, back when I was younger. I was like, there's no way, you know what I mean? Like, and now I'm getting more into where I think it's a lot of, you know, in reference to, or, you know, just kind of like a play on words with different things. I know that there's a lot of similarities in different religions of Jesus or the Son or, you know, the Savior and stuff. And so I think there is a connection at some point. I don't know what that is, you know, but if whatever gets you through the day and makes you happy, then I think that's important.
But it's like anything else. When you start forcing those beliefs.
Right, that shouldn't be okay.
The dichotomy I see is, because I'm friends with people on both sides.
Right.
I know trans people and I know Christians, and they fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
And they're both trying to control what other people are thinking. It's like, you're both wrong.
Yeah, just let it be.
Chill the fuck out.
If you're
do what you want to do, and let other people. It's an authoritarian attitude. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah.
If you seek to control others.
Yeah.
Because it's what you believe and you want to enforce that on someone else, that is, to me, it's evil.
Yeah,
I believe.
Agree.
I mean, God gave us free will. We have freedom. You know, I should be able to fucking wear a MAGA hat and not be called a racist and a Nazi.
Right. And you know, or like the simple, if you sneeze and somebody says, bless you, well, I'm not a Christian. It doesn't matter. If they said that, they're saying that from the goodness of their heart. That's kind of like, you know, or I'll pray for you. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. You know, even though you don't pray, you don't have to take that as an attack. It's they're giving you something that they believe in and is what is good for them to you. You know, I think you should take it as it is, not turn it into something that doesn't have to be.
I almost feel like the no bullying policy, and I know bullying is terrible, but I feel like eliminating it from schools wrecked humanity. Because now, like, and I could list several examples of this, and I won't use names, but when kids are protected and sheltered and they have no experience, and then they turn 18, say
And
they're
then
in a
they get
very,
all the experience.
then let's say they're in a protective Christian home, right? And even as teenagers, every Friday night and Saturday night, they're home with their family, they're protected, they're watched. Well, as soon as they get out that door, finally,
They go buck wild.
now they want to try all of it. Whereas if you start dabbling a little bit when you're 12, 13, fucking around, seeing what is going on,
Yeah.
Not saying I want my kids to be fucking around with that stuff, but at the same time, I want them to be aware. You talked about that transparency with your kids. You need to be aware of these things. Because when you get out in the real world and you don't even know what cocaine is, I feel like we got a responsibility to teach people about that. But there are these mindsets of absolute protection or absolute freedom. They're both wrong. There's a balance in there. You need to protect kids from themselves and from other people.
But you got to let them have a little bit of their freedom too. Yeah, my oldest daughter, I mean, she skipped school. I mean, she came home one day and she told us that, they had skipped school and they went and stole some alcohol from the gas station and they went to the park and, and, I wasn't really sure what to do with all that honesty at first. I was like, all right, I'm going to have to come back to this. We grounded her for whatever.
So there were some consequences.
Right, of course. I mean, she still did something wrong.
Yes.
But the fact that she was able to be like, look, I messed up. I don't know what to do. I realized what I did was wrong, but this is what it is, so it was just kind of like all right, so there was consequences, but I mean, it wasn't like harsh, I mean, no electronics or whatever for, I think it was like 2 weeks probably, but I mean, we still give her freedom, but I try to, like you said, just make it known that be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of your surroundings. If you're running around in Fayetteville, you have to know that there's people there that care about you and there's people that don't. Just make sure you're getting yourself in the right situation. Because I always want her to be able to call me and be like, Mom, I messed up. I'm here. I don't know what to do. I'm scared or whatever, instead of be scared to call me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Yeah, because I've seen so many Christian kids who got into a situation. It's like, my parents cannot know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then it asks the question, do your parents even love you? Right? What is love? Right. Is it conditional or unconditional? If your kid makes a mistake and you're going to stop loving him because he committed a sin or whatever, like, what's the whole point of Jesus and forgiveness then?
Right.
Some of the nastiest people I know are Christians that are just the most unforgiving. Yeah. Like, you fuck up one time and it is done. That's not,
Yeah.
I don't know. The religion thing, I believe in the teachings of Christ. I've really studied. I kind of had to get the equivalency of a theology degree growing up because religion was coming at me so hard and fast, and you can't listen to this band or this band because they're demons in it, and it's like, yo.
Yeah, we weren't even allowed to watch wrestling. Like, it was just silly stuff.
Because of religion?
Yeah, well, I mean, just different things, but yeah, I mean, and so I just kind of keep an open mind.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, and I like to study on things before I really necessarily believe in them. I'm still kind of trying to find necessarily what it is that I believe in right now,
Well, I think that's healthy.
I think it's good to live off of a basis, like sort of like the Ten Commandments type thing,
Sure,
that's
you've got to. Well, what would you consider your moral foundation? Would it be the Bible?
I don't know. I don't think necessarily the Bible. I mean, I think just being a good person in general, doing, the right thing, even when doesn't seem like the thing to do at the time, or don't lie and steal and cheat.
But how do you know what is right? Is that something your heart tells you? Is that just something you feel?
And if you make a mistake, just be the person to stand up and say, hey, look, I messed up. I'm sorry. I did what I did. I thought it was the right thing at the right time, or whatever it is, that just kind of follow your heart, I guess.
Or maybe you knew it was stupid and you did it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, mistakes happen, so, but I'm not really sure what I believe in right now, but I'll figure it out.
Is that a quest you're interested in finding out, or is it?
I think so. Right now, I'm trying to figure out because I just can't picture just some guy just sitting up in a chair up there in the clouds, type of thing, and all that. I think it's a more or less like I don't know. That's a.
Well, it's you're not going to have physical bodies. So all these people who think, well, oh, it's just going to be a big family
Right.
reunion. Well,
I don't-
what with the cheating husband and the
Right, I
grandpa
don't-
who raped the granddaughter?
Right.
Those people are all going to be there? No. That's not how this works.
I think more or less I believe that this is the hell or whatever technically, you know, that
You think
I'm
we're in
not-
hell now?
maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I believe
It
in.
could
This.
be a middle. Well, if you look at like Sumerian tablets and stuff, there's like
I think the reincarnation is what the hell is, maybe.
I
I'm
think
not-
there's a worse place. I think it's dimensions. I think so. Like a one-dimensional being can only move in a straight line. It can only
Right.
move forward and back.
Okay,
A
and
two-dimensional
then two.
being can move on a piece of paper, right? But a third-dimensional being can turn that piece of paper over
Right.
and see it's upside down, where the two-dimensional being
Right.
can't see that. What do four-dimensional beings see?
Exactly.
They would be
Yeah.
gods to us,
Right.
right? I think, you know, and energy can't be created or destroyed. So what happens to the energy in our brains, the electricity
Exactly.
when we die? I've had a near-death experience.
Mhm.
I felt myself floating away from my body. I was able to see and hear everything that was going on while my body was unconscious.
Right.
Like something happened, and I mean, I remember it very vividly.
And see, I had a complete different kind of experience.
What was yours?
Nothing. It was nothing, like complete. The nothing doesn't even describe the word of nothing that it was. It was. I'm not sure if it was peace, maybe, or what it was for me, but it was just there was just nothing. It was, I don't know, it was different. That's what kind of shook my whole God and everything. It was just different, you know. I didn't get the seeing myself or the thoughts or anything. It was just like waking up from a sleep type of thing.
Or were you just blacked out?
Well, I mean, I was pronounced dead, but
Were you really?
Yeah, and so I
You were
mean,
literally pronounced dead?
yeah, and they had to give me a couple Narcan shots, or not Narcan, but epinephrine shots in my heart. and-
Jesus, didn't that have to puncture your
Yeah,
rib cage?
yeah. Well, I mean, they went through my chest, but I don't know. I was not, but it was just nothing. It was, I don't know. It was different.
Not like being asleep.
Well, kind of like whenever you go to sleep, but you don't dream, and you just wake up and you're like, oh crap, I fell asleep, type thing.
But
Like,
it wasn't really an experience at all then. Like you were
yeah,
just
it
gone.
was just it was different. Like I expected something, you know, like I guess I expected, you know, the out of body thing or anything, but it wasn't that at all. It was just nothing.
Huh. Interesting. I think there's a lot of grifters who tell stories about that stuff to get, you know, on, you know, back in the day you had to Phil Donahue and Jerry Springer, you know, and all these talk shows. People are always talking about outer body experiences, and I thought it was all bullshit until I had one. And
I think that's very possible.
what is?
Just the out of body.
Well, it was. I thought I was dying there, but I had no fear or anything. I was wondering, like, why weren't they calling the police? And I knew because they were, you know, young kids, and we were doing shit we shouldn't be
Right,
doing. So
right.
everybody's like, do we
Right.
call the police or hope that you know? It's a tough call as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're doing some shit we're gonna get in trouble for. There's a chance he might wake up,
Right.
or you know. And then if you don't, and they end up dying, then you get charged with, like,
Right.
you know, who knows? Kids get into some stupid shit. But
Mm-hmm.
I definitely felt a spiritual experience. I think there's something higher than us. I don't think all this just snapped into being. And I think the words of Jesus are, I can't find fault in them. But it's just the words. It's just the red letters that I pay attention to. All the rest of it, I think, is bullshit used to control people. But people believe in it so fiercely.
Right.
And then you start asking, okay, well, which tablet did this come? Which language was this interpreted from? Which
And how many times has it been rewrote? And
dozens? And then you had the Nicene Council, which basically decided what books are we going to allow in it.
right, because there
And
was
which
other
ones
books.
are
And
tons of other books,
Yeah.
and those are compiled now. There's several books.
I think there's truth in a lot of all of it. It's just you got to pick and choose what you choose to really pay attention to, you know, because a lot of it I think is bullshit or not necessarily bullshit, just like I said, a play on words kind of earlier, you know, maybe or something. But I think it's a good basis to live by, But
Well, it's also interesting to me that the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament are completely different characters. They're not even the
right.
same
I
person.
haven't.
The Old Testament God is vengeful and jealous, angry. He exhibits all 7 deadly sins. It's an evil being. Like,
Right.
I don't care who you are, man. The God of the Old Testament is not somebody I would worship. The God of the New Testament is this God of love and forgiveness and understanding. Jesus is talking about a totally different God, which makes me believe that the God of the Old Testament were probably not gods at all. They were probably like Anunnaki or some kind of being
Maybe. Yeah.
that were here that were enslaving people and using religion as a tool. And Jesus tried to break us out of that, I think, with a different vision, and they killed him for it. But I think
I've
if
never
Jesus...
really thought about it that way. That makes sense, though.
Well, I've been trying to utilize AI to really, because it's so hard sifting through the truth. Whereas AI's
Right.
gotten so good now, it can give you the arguments, and you can say, "Hey, how real were the Anunnaki?" Like, pretty much everything other than the Bible talks about the Anunnaki,
Yeah.
and even the Bible talks about the Nephilim, which are giants.
Right.
So, like, even the Bible kind of confirms
Right.
that there were these giant beings, David and Goliath. It wasn't me versus Peyton Manning. Like, David or Goliath was a giant,
Yeah.
a massive being. I think there were, and you also talk about how so many religions have a lot in common. Before that, the myths and legends.
Right.
You had
Yeah.
these gods that were
Yeah.
on Earth, Zeus and Aphrodite and Apollo. They were all gods over these different
I'm very
things.
intrigued by the Greek mythology. I
Are
love that,
you?
yeah.
I love that stuff.
A lot
Greek
of
and
my
Roman.
animals have been named after, like,
Really? What kind of names you got?
Well, Apollo. I did have Apollo. He passed
love
away
that
though.
name.
And then I've got a Zeus right now.
Nice.
I've had an Athena. I've got. Well, now her name
What
is
fascinates you with the Greek mythology?
just the stories, maybe, and maybe the connection to the gods and stuff. Because I feel like there's been multiple versus maybe I think there's one something, I don't know what, it's had to start from somewhere, but I think that that's along with like our star signs or whatever you want to call it, like I'm an Aries,
Right.
and I think that might have a connection with like the planets and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not necessarily like into witchcraft, but I believe in energy.
Right.
I'm intrigued by like the stars and the moon, and stuff like that, or like cleansing water and things like that. I just
What if God and the devil are just two different energies? What if it's masculine energy and feminine energy?
could be.
And that balance is the key. You need both, right?
Yeah.
But like just how in the Bible the woman is demonized by listening to the snake, right? So
Right.
the woman,
But then why do we have the Adam's apple?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
See?
I don't even I have one, but it's not visible.
Well, sometimes I wonder if maybe it was kind of the other way around. Like, how do you get an Adam's apple without taking the bite out of the apple?
Wait, that's how you think it got there?
I don't know.
I've not heard that.
Or maybe the snake wasn't the bad person. I don't know.
Well, I think it's all metaphor. What
Yeah.
I truly believe it was that I think there were beings on this planet that were probably not from here, and there was an early humanoid species on the planet. And they're like, well, shit, thank God. We can have them do all of our farm work. They can treat us like gods. We'll have them do all the labor. If not, we'll kill them. We'll just make them do whatever we want.
Right.
And then I think at some point those beings are left. They're gone. We don't know what happened to them. We don't know if humanity rose up against them, if some higher power flooded the earth to get rid of all their evidence. And did God really kill his own creation because he was disappointed in it? Or was it like, I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but you're not supposed to, like, when you're on the Enterprise or part of the Federation, you can't fuck with planets who don't have space flight capabilities. You can't mess with their cultures because you could give secrets to one
Right.
faction, they can start war, you can destroy their culture, basically. What if it was something like that, where these people had fled, come here, set themselves up as gods, then the government finds them, and it's like, you can't be doing this. You're fucking out of here.
Oh, that's my alarm going off on my phone. Well, I don't know. Sorry, let me shut
What song is that?
I don't know. It's one of the. It's time to close the store, probably.
Time to close.
I have an alarm set so I could shut the store down.
Who's working tonight? Taylor? Dave?
What is today? Tuesday? It should be Regina.
But I've been bouncing a lot of this stuff off of AI about what is possible based on, you know, Sumerian tablets and all these other writings, and it's given some credence to there can be some pretty cool things happening. But I wonder if the flood wasn't just to kill humanity, because humanity's just as evil as it was then. Nothing changed. But what if it was to destroy the evidence of these Anunnaki being here?
Right. I wish I could remember what video it was I watched. It was quite a long one, but I mean, it kind of opened my mind a little bit up to, like, what if the fruit of knowledge, or, you know, all that and whatnot, but like, what if it was something we weren't supposed to touch because we would be aware of?
Well, that's what we were talking about, the Garden of Eden, and that's what I was wanting to get back to. What if the snake was actually an Anunnaki or somebody that said, hey, you guys are actually in a breeding farm and you're slaves, and here's the truth.
Yeah, and so, you know,
But what my point was that, like, women were blamed.
Yeah.
In the Old Testament, like, women are the source of evil, kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, they fucked everything up.
Yeah.
If you will. And what if that is like the masculine energy trying to demonize the feminine energy, right? Now you look at our planet and feminism has completely taken over. Like, men are not men anymore. Like, there are some, but like when I was growing up, everybody was like my grandparents. Mm-hmm. They were tough men, you know, mm-hmm. They knew how to take a joke, they could give it, they could talk a little shit, mm-hmm. had some wisdom. Now men are just pussies.
Yeah.
Like, just harmless people.
The way I grew up, we were kind of, I mean, it was, that way with men, but it was also that way with, like, my husband tells me all the time, you women are some of the proudest women I've ever met in my life. You know, because...
Why would he say that?
Well, we were just raised that way, you know. We were raised to, I mean, you could do just the same as a man could, you know. I mean, we weren't treated differently.
Well, you talk about the word pride, and you say you didn't grow up with a lot of money. Well, but you had pride still.
Right, yeah.
So you had pride,
you put whatever you got into what you have to do at the time, you know. I mean, whether you want to do it or not, if you got to do it, you know, just put your best into it.
God,
you
this
know,
cat sounds like it's being abused, doesn't it? I just think it's interesting that, you know, they say Jesus was a man without sin, but he obviously got angry. He got pissed off several times. I mean, he knocked over the tables in the temple and stuff when they were basically commercializing, you know, the church and all that stuff. I think he was a human being. I think he was a man. I don't think he was divine. Yeah. But...
And he hung out with all the sinners. I mean, he...
Yes.
You know, it was...
People lose sight of that.
I mean, you know, my husband was telling me this story, you know, the other day about... I don't remember exactly what it was, but somebody was talking about his wife or something, and he was like, well... You know, you can't tell me you've never gone out and looked at another woman, or, you know, things like that. I mean, he went with the whores and with the, you know, people like that versus the people that didn't really need it, you know. And a lot of those people were more down to earth probably than, you know, anybody else.
No, that's why I prefer spending my time with people of lower means, because they have real lives and real problems.
Yeah.
And they're not greedy. Like, they're just trying to get by. Like, they're just trying to give their kids the best life they can give them. Those are real people. When you have so much money, you don't even know what day your check's deposited.
Yeah, your nose is
You
really
have
upturned.
lost sight. And it's the same in corporate. Once you reach a certain level, you forget what it's like for these people feeding the family. That's why these layoffs are no big deal, right? It's just, we'll lay off these numbers.
Yeah.
Because they're numbers, not people. And it's the same with human beings. But as somebody who's trying to live my life for my own mental health, you know, dwelling on negativity is terrible. Having free time is terrible. You need to be productive, and I'm trying to be productive all the time and focus on keys to immortality, my kids, and what I can create. And anything I create needs to be positive. I want to put positive energy out there. And And in doing that and in getting into that mindset, it's infuriating to see the people who are just hell-bent on putting negativity out there.
Right.
It's like,
It
my
can be hard
God.
for me to not feed off of that sometimes too.
Well, it does. And, it's like, and people have emotional reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday there was a thing going around. This dude got fired at Walmart. I got all fired up, and these people are evil at fire. Then I heard the real story, and I was like, I shouldn't have fucking said anything. Yeah, there was facts I didn't know. It's easy to, and I'm guilty of it too. It's just, but that's a reaction. I'm talking about when you're creating, when you're tweeting or posting or anything like that. Just think, like, is this the people who are gonna see this, is this gonna make them happy?
Right.
Or is this something that's gonna bring negativity into the world?
Right. That's why I don't put so much I don't put my personal life out there on Facebook and stuff like that. Like, it's nobody else's business really, because I don't need feedback for one. And
See,
if
I don't mind sharing
ask
about my
for it.
kids because they're my joy.
Well,
like,
of course.
I love seeing other people's kids. I don't like seeing fucking babies. Like, enough already. Jordan with the 8,000 pictures. She's adorable, but god damn it. Babies do nothing. They're a lump. And I was a terrible dad until my kids were old enough to walk at least. Like, dads feel helpless when the kids are young. It's like, yeah, I can read you a book, but there's no...
Right.
Dads are visceral, more hands-on.
Yeah.
Mothers lament the kids growing up. Dads love it, because you can... I can have conversations with my kids. I'm playing on a fucking band with one of my kids right now. It's awesome.
That is awesome.
But it's. I also feel like parents. I feel like it's gone a little too far, but like, the older generation didn't have any relationship with their kids.
Right.
It's like, I've got my job. I come home. I'm the authoritarian. I'm the father figure.
Right.
I give you bits of wisdom, but they didn't sit down and spend quality time with you.
Yeah.
And then my dad's generation was a little better at it, and then I feel like my generation.
There's got to be a healthy balance, because you can't be the best friend. Well, I don't know, because the older my daughter's getting, I was so young when I had her, and
yeah, I mean 14, right?
Yeah, and so it was like growing up together almost, or something, close to that, but. And so I have to remember, I am the parent. I have to be the authority, but I can also be a friend too. Like, the older my daughter gets, the closer we've gotten.
Right.
And she's pretty much like my best friend, to an extent. But I have to remember, you can't be a best friend all the time. You have to be.
It's not even necessarily that you're the one in charge. It's the one that is looked to for. Yeah. You're the guidance. You're the leader. Yes. You need to be setting a good example at all times. And when you're just the friend having fun, somebody's got to be responsible. Right. And it needs to be you as the parent. So, I actually managed a team for 7 years that taught me a lot about parenting, because, when I went into my first management role, it was like everybody gets treated exactly the same. And, you have all these ideas, and then, like, you can just gently tell one person, hey, we need to work on this, and they're in tears. Yeah. And then somebody else, you've got to literally cuss out, and then they're like, fine, whatever. Yeah. Like, you've got to get in their face, or they will not change their behavior. And then, of course, my kids were so little, I didn't know. I'm kind of learning this on the job, and I'm learning, you can't treat everyone exactly the same. Everybody's got their own way and style. What makes every person succeed. And I think that's what made me a good manager, is I would tailor my management style to that person. And then young kids started coming in and getting offended at jokes, and next thing you know, you're in HR, and that's why I would never want to manage people again in today's society.
Yeah, I've had some management spots, and it was a lot of the same for me, too. I learned a lot doing that. You know, what people excel in and how you got to treat them.
Sure. And what motivates. Like, I'm not motivated by money at all. Like, money doesn't motivate me. Right. At all. I just don't care about it. And other people are so obsessed with their bonus that they're trying to get every... Yeah. It's like, man, just...
I enjoyed my management positions to an extent, because I feel like I help people. I like to help people. I like to train people. I like to, after I got out of prison, I worked at the halfway house in Springdale. And it gave me a sense of like belonging almost, you
Yeah.
know, because I could,
Purpose.
yeah, I could guide or do whatever, or just, you know, you just learn people differently, and it kind of gives you more of an open mind to everybody, you know. Like
Certainly.
growing up, a lot of my family was, you know, upturned nose to, oh, well, they're on drugs or this or that, but
Yeah.
they would drink. You know, they were alcoholics. And
Right.
so
It's
how are
it's
you
it's
to...
rules for me, not for your
Right.
thing is worse than my thing.
Right.
I can
And-
drink, but you can't do cocaine.
And so I used to, you know, sometimes I wonder, because I used to like pick
I mean,
and tease
cocaine
at
is
the...
illegal, people.
I do not freebase.
That was a
but-
joke.
But yeah, and I used to, you know, just make fun of certain people, or, you know, do this or that. And now life experiences, you know, I feel like I was put in those situations
Yeah.
to realize what really happens, you know. And so I enjoyed the management position, kind of. You know, I didn't enjoy the fast food,
Yeah.
but because I worked for McDonald's for a while, and that was... But I enjoyed the kids coming in. I have a kind of a vision of, like, I think it'd be cool to have like a foster home
Really?
for older kids, you know, that don't really get adopted out, but also be like a foster care for animals.
Have you thought about opening your own business, doing something like that?
Well, I'm not sure if I can, because
Nah, with
yeah, I mean,
get
my
it.
husband both have a past, you know, but I
Yeah,
think that's,
consequences.
yeah. And when you're that young doing that stuff, you don't even think about consequences.
No.
And now it's like, golly.
But as a parent, I think you're trying to teach your kids that
Oh,
there are consequences,
yeah,
and hey,
absolutely.
look at me.
That's what I tell them. I'm like, you don't think about, you got to play the whole scenario out, because if you don't,
Right.
you're just thinking this is just now, but it affects your whole life.
Right. And if
You
I
know?
could say something to my parents' generation, I wish y'all had shared more with us. I wish
Absolutely.
you had talked to us more and spent more time getting to know us, rather than let's go on a vacation here or do this thing together. Let's sit down and have a conversation.
I
and
still
that's
to
one
this day
thing.
don't even know half of my mom's life. I feel like, you know,
Mhm.
and she was my only parent. Like, I'm just recently finding out different things about who my biological father was, you know, like things like
Yeah.
that. And it's,
Yeah.
I wish she would have been more open with me, you
But
know?
you can probably have a conversation with each one of your kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so can I.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to do, is just sitting down and bullshitting
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talking, you
And
know. And I
they're
didn't
funny,
have that
you know.
with my parents growing up. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Every one of those kids, they have such a personality too. And that can be a lot of the noise in the house with 6 kids. Everybody has such a big personality, and you have to take that into consideration, you know, and it can be hard to do sometimes, but yeah, it's been...
do they like get into group or like factions? I mean, you've got enough kids for a factions
Somewhat.
at this point. Yeah. Is it boys, girls? How many boys? How many girls?
3 girls and 3 boys.
3,
We're like the Brady
right?
Bunch.
Yeah. It's definitely Brady Bunch. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's like boys, girls, or the age group? How do they break out?
Well, usually, yeah, it's the 2 oldest. They kind of do their own thing. Gabe and April, they're, you know, Gabe's more the...
How old are they in?
I got 14, 12, 3 10-year-olds, and a 9-year-old.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They're the same age, because I've got 14, 12, and 9.
Yeah.
So like same ages, you just got
A whole
more
bunch of 'em.
volume. Yes.
Yeah, and usually, you know, like Bug, he's the youngest, Lucas. I mean, he just kind of picks, you know. He's
Where did he get
just,
the name Bug?
I'm not really sure. I don't remember what the story was.
'Cause I grew up in nickname families. You know,
Yeah.
everybody had a nickname.
That was around before I
Is that
was
one
around.
that just stuck? Okay.
Yeah. But he just kind of picks to get the attention of any of the other kids, you know, because he's the baby, and nobody wants to hang out with the baby, you
Yeah.
know, and so, but usually Daxton and Chloe, they link up together, you know, and Sativa and April, they're pretty much best friends. So Sativa and Chloe are my twins. And Chloe's more
Why didn't you go with Indica?
I wanted to, but everybody had an issue with it because, well,
You're
you can't-
already doing sativa. You might as well go Indica.
Well, I didn't even get sativa from that. I got, so it's funny, kind of. The girl's dad had a crush on this chick whenever he lived in California, and her name was Sativa, and, you know, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
a
and-
stripper name, by the way. That was not.
Well,
her
I mean,
real
she was in
name.
High Times magazine and everything, and ever since he told me that, I was like, I really do like that name, Sativa, so I kind of went with Sativa, you know, but nobody really liked the idea of Sativa and Indica, so, but Chloe, if you look it up, it does have the green, the feminist green herbal,
Right.
you know, thing, but, you know.
I always thought it'd be cool having twin girls named Melody and Harmony. I just think
That is
that's
cool.
the most beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
Alas, God chose to keep me out of prison and didn't give me daughters. So
Well, the daughters
now I don't have to
are
kill
a lot.
anybody.
They're a lot. They are.
Well, I wasn't talking about killing the daughter. I was just talking about killing the boyfriends.
Well,
but I
yeah.
could probably kill the daughters too. Jokes, people. Chill out.
Yeah.
I did pray actively. Please don't give me a daughter.
Yeah. Well.
Because then the clock's ticking. As soon as she gets boobs,
Oh my
some
God!
dude's getting blown off the front porch.
I'm telling you, and my oldest daughter. Oh God.
And it's because
so
I know what a
scary.
pig I was.
Yeah, that's how my husband is. He's trying to reiterate to my daughter. He's like, you don't
Like, get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
guys are fucking hound dogs.
you know,
They'll
she
fuck anything
just
that
wants
moves.
to wear certain things, and I try to let my girls express themselves how they want. You know what I'm saying? But you are still a kid to me. I mean, your butt should not be hanging out of your pants. You know, like certain things like that. Like I don't much care I don't care so much about the crop top necessarily thing. You know, as long as you're covered. I mean, your belly's your belly. You're gonna wear a bikini, you know, or whatever. But like,
See, I don't
well, I'm
think
not-
I could sleep at night if I knew my
it's
teenage
hard
daughter
to, you know,
was
but
wearing a bikini.
but your butt shouldn't be hanging out of your shorts. I mean, your boobs shouldn't be falling out of your shirt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because if the boys are going to look, they're going to look regardless because they already are at this age. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
You don't have to do all the extra
Fair.
things. You know, it's a lot and it's terrifying. You know, I mean, and my daughter's twice my size. You know what I mean?
You're very hobbit-esque. You
I don't
have
feel as
hairy
small
feet,
as
do you?
everybody, huh?
You don't have hairy feet, do you?
Not really hairy feet.
Okay. Hobbits have hairy feet. That's
Yeah,
all.
I used to be told I had hobbit
You-
feet. That's so funny.
So I nailed it. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to start calling you Hobbitla. That's the female form of hobbit.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely different. Daughters are a mess, and they're all so hormonal. Oh my gosh.
That might be the Elvish for you nerds. Hit me up in the comments. I just realized you can't fuck up nerd shit or somebody's gonna come after you. That might be the Elvish term for hobbit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What are you, 4'3"?
No, I'm like 5'2" almost.
5'2".
See, I don't feel as short as everybody says I am.
Yeah.
I feel just about as tall as everybody
I don't
else.
think about it until we stand up. And then it's like, oh my God, where'd she
I'm not
go?
that
She's
short.
way down there. What's the most fun part of having kids, do you think? Is it that relationship where you can talk to them that I think our parents missed out on? Is like
and
that
just
deep.
doing fun stuff, like I
Yeah.
don't know, just
But don't you feel like doing fun stuff is more fun when you can talk about
oh,
it?
absolutely, yeah.
Because I felt like my family did fun stuff, but we never talked.
Well, we don't necessarily do like trips or because I
You
didn't-
can't afford them.
Yeah, and I didn't grow up. I mean, I've never really been very many places, but just doing activities with them where we
I
can
bet
sit
you know
and
the back
talk.
roads around here, though.
Oh, absolutely. I know all of them.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, sister.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess and just doing stuff around the house, and try to make it funner than what it seems, and then
Right.
we can talk through it, and have those laughs because my kids are really clever,
Yeah.
and they're so strangely funny,
Yeah.
And,
But that's because you've developed their personalities with them. You've helped.
Yeah.
We had, again, I feel like I'm talking shit about like our parents' generation, but like
there wasn't that.
there just was not an interest in getting to know your kids and who they were and like
I've never had that physical or like really mental bond with my mom. She was my only
Yeah.
parent, but there was never really physical affection shown, and stuff. And so it can be kind of uncomfortable for me sometimes showing
Really?
physical affection. Yeah. And
I want to talk about that for a minute. My mom was very affectionate. Very affectionate. I had to give her a kiss when I got to the point where I was a teenager. I was like, all right, Mom, that's enough.
yeah, my mom was the complete opposite.
But I'm that way with my boys. Like, if they walk by me and don't give me a hug, it used to be a kiss when they're little. I get it. You're
Right.
too old to kiss your dad. But by God, give me a hug, son. Come
Yeah.
over here. And me and my dad have started. My dad grew up in a family that had no emotion.
Yeah.
Or no affection, excuse me.
Yeah.
And, he hadn't heard the words I love you till he was an adult.
Yeah,
And it was very weird for him. And I started saying it to Dad.
Yeah.
And it would weird him out. Now
Yeah.
we say it.
Oh yeah.
It's just,
Well,
I've normalized it.
Yeah, I tried to do that. Like I went through sexual abuse as a kid too, and so I think that's where my weirdness maybe comes from. Sometimes
At what
too.
age?
I was really young. Like I've been told stories from before I even remember. I blocked out a lot of my childhood, but I mean the earliest I remember was probably like 5 or 6, and it continued on for.
And these are family members, or
Yeah, and so, I think some of that dealing with that also kind of it I had to at one point, kind of decipher because I would just get paranoid, if my daughter was with somebody or,
well,
anything.
how would you not be paranoid as an adult? Like
Well,
just being around men, like
Oh yeah, I do. I still do. I still do sometimes, but I have to decipher what's real and what's not too. But at the same time,
I'm surprised you'd come over here just with me. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like
Right.
I'd be traumatized by men if I were you.
Well, I am, but I mean, I don't know. I've been through a lot of different. I mean, being in the active addiction.
What made you come out here? Like you just me.
Well,
and
I think
like,
that's why I was so comfortable the first time.
yeah, other
like,
people here.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just. I mean,
I'm not a creeper.
Well, no, I would hope not. No, but it's just I've learned to not put myself in certain situations. I mean, this is a pretty okay environment. You know what I mean? So, it's just I don't know. It's just something you learn to deal with, I guess. You can't let it just consume you because it will.
That's something
if you
that
let it,
that
it'll
has also
consume you.
happened to family members of mine
Yeah.
that I know that I'm close to, and it's not something I've ever felt comfortable talking to them about.
Right.
And I can't imagine what that would have been like. I've never been through any
Yeah,
kind of anything like that.
it's hard, and I think that's why.
I've had a couple gay men put tongues in my ear, but that
Yeah,
was shut down rather quickly.
I think that was a lot of the reason I got pregnant at such a young age, and I didn't have that father. And so in my head, certain things were connected with love, and so.
Was it did you see it as like a sign of some sick affection or
Yeah,
attention?
Yeah.
God damn, that's tough.
I mean, it is what it is, it's something you got to just.
You should be way more fucked up than you already are. And
Oh,
you're
I'm
pretty fucked up.
I'm pretty fucked up. Yeah, I'm pretty fucked up. But I mean, I can't let it consume me. I can't. I just can't, because if I do, then I'll just still be sick and on the side of the road with a needle in my arm.
But one thing I always liked about you when I interacted with you at 16, you were always positive.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know your story.
Well, I think that's
Taylor's a lot
important.
more outgoing than you are.
Yeah.
She's a lot more extroverted.
Yeah.
But you still were interesting. Like this girl's
Yeah.
got a story.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think
And
I mean, that's
sadly-
my job is customer service. I mean, it's important
Yeah.
to be, polite to, and plus I just try to treat everybody with dignity, and stuff. And there's certain people I might not like that come in, but I still treat them accordingly. I mean, but if you're going to start being a weirdo, like, we get our fair share
And
of.
you do get your share of weirdos. Y'all close early though.
I know. Yeah,
That's
we do.
probably a good thing being out
Yeah.
there. There's a
Yeah,
lot of meth.
there's our fair share of weirdos that come
do
through
you
the
think?
store.
What do you
and
think
it's-
the worst thing around here is? It meth? Do you think in this area?
I somewhat, yeah,
Yeah.
probably. And and
Lots
it
of trailers
does different
burning down
thing-
around these
it does
parts.
different things to different people, and I mean, you just get your fair share of weirdos out here, for sure. And I've gotten to the point where when they come in, I've had my husband either standing in there with me, and they decide, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to do that because he's a pretty big guy,
He's a
but-
handsome man.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a very nice beard.
He does,
I
doesn't
was
he?
a little jealous of his beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it got to the point where there was a select few people that I had to get to the point where I was rude to them, and
Yeah.
Just to kind of get the hint,
Yeah. This
but-
isn't gonna happen.
and so
Well, sounds like the monsters are home.
yeah.
Thank you for coming out.
Oh, perfect.
Episode 90. 10 more, and we're going to hit that 100 spot. You're coming on again, though, with the whole crew, right?
Yeah.
With
I believe
Dave.
so. Yes, I love
Oh,
it.
he confirmed. I got
Yes.
an actual message from Dave.
Yep.
So we're good for that. That's going to be fun.
Yep.
You're going to see him before I do. Tell him to bring whatever he's written so far to that podcast.
I tried to hint around the other day at that, and he still wasn't.
Not
He wasn't going. He wasn't going to tell me nothing. I was like, damn it.
okay. I'll hit on him.
Okay.
Well, not like that. I'm not gonna hit. I'm not gonna hit on Dave, ladies. He's all yours.
Yeah.
I'll hit him up on what he's writing because I'm really excited about this. The dude's funny as fuck.
Oh, he's so funny. I love him.
He doesn't have to try. Like he
No,
just is.
it just comes naturally to him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's a natural comedian, and I'd love to see when like he puts his mind to it and actually writes some shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done. I don't know. I think he's better at winging it sometimes. We went and watched him do stand up, and I think he does better whenever he wings it. You know.
Did Taylor go to that? Okay, yeah.
Taylor came and picked me up. That's when
She was one that told me initially that he had done stand up.
Yeah.
And that made me want him to get on the show even more. And then I had completely forgotten because once we started talking, you're engrossed in Dave, right?
Yeah.
Dave's talking, and you just shut
he
up.
just says the weirdest shit.
And then he goes like, I do stand up, right? And I was like, I think I'd heard that, but you're blowing my mind right now. And then he started just nailing some jokes, and man, I mean,
yeah, Dave's a pretty good dude.
2 hours with that guy feels like you just sat down and then it's over.
Yeah.
It's like,
He's funny.
yeah, he's a good dude. He seems like a genuinely good dude.
Yeah, he is. He's got a heart of gold. He just seems strange sometimes, but he
is strange. That's why I love
so
him.
fucking great.
Normal
he's awesome.
people weird me out.
I think me too. I get uncomfortable almost.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Just my
You
head's a
haven't
little
had-
fucked up, so I don't.
Well, I think it goes back to like I used to not use the word trauma because I was like, well, people have had worse trauma than me, right? Like,
Right.
and then
Well,
I
everybody's
kinda-
struggle is. You know,
Well, you define trauma as a meteor that hits your life that you're not able to cope with at that time and place. So that made me feel a little more comfortable using it. Yes, there's been worse trauma, but I have had it.
but that
and-
still is the worst of yours, you know.
Right,
I mean,
it's relative.
Right.
It's relative. Mine certainly was not as bad as yours, but it's still, I was at an age in my life where I did not know how to cope with it.
right, and that's
And I
still,
didn't know how to cope with it until I found this.
Right.
And then,
Yep.
right, so like I relate to the stories.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of other people who, let's say, call them normal people, they just don't have.
There's not that relatability or the.
It's real easy to be
understand-
sinless when you're perfect
Right.
and you don't have mental issues or addiction issues
it's
or
easy to
trauma in
judge
your
people like
past.
that, yeah.
And it's easy to judge people
Yeah.
like us
Yeah.
because we do
They don't
and
have
we
any
live,
rule.
but
Yeah.
it doesn't make us any lesser people. And it creates a resentment, I think.
Yeah.
When these people just coast through life and had everything and never had any problems, never got in trouble, and it's
Yeah.
real easy to look down at your nose.
Right. Yep.
But, I think the beauty in life is the struggle. It's the journey. We don't know what the destination is. All we can do is live for the journey right now.
Yeah.
And make the best of what we got.
I think the mess is the point. Not really sure.
I agree. Thanks for coming on, Gabby.
Yep.